Hello friends, welcome back to IMWD, Incredible Moments with Debs. Yeah! So if this is your first time here, I am Debs and I welcome you to Incredible Moments with Debs. So today, we'll be talking about taking in proper nutrition as students. You know, it's not easy in school to take in proper nutrition, to take in balanced diet. But today, we're going to be talking about it, and we're going to clarify it, everything that you need to be taking in as students. So you need to stay with us in today's episode because it's going to be super interesting. So today with me, I have the CEO of Food Basket Foundation International, a development professional. Welcome with me, Dr. Funmi Akinyele. Thank you very much for coming, Ma.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, guys, please stay with us today because we're talking about the food, the kinds of food you should eat in school as students. You know that teenagers, we grow a lot and changes occurs in our body. Growth occurs physically, mentally, and in a lot of aspects. When we grow, all those things also grows. We grow physically, we grow mentally, we grow psychologically. So when we grow, we need more calories and more nutrients in our body. And for us to live a healthy lifestyle, we need healthy food. You know, they always say health is wealth. When you grow up and then maybe from your teenage age, you've not been eating good food, enough of nutrition, and then you have so much money, and then you have health issues. You spend all this money on your health. So what's the point of making this money? So now today, we're going to be talking about these things. So stay with us in today's episode, and I'm sure that she will love every bit of it. Thank you for coming once again, Ma.
Thank you so much.
So, Ma, what is nutrition and what is balanced diet?
Okay, thank you. So first of all, nutrition is derived from the food you eat. Okay. And they stopped talking about balanced diet because you can't measure it. And so what we talk about now is adequate diet because then you can see whether it's enough. Are you getting enough of the macronutrients? Are you getting enough of the micronutrients? And are you getting enough of the vitamins and minerals? And so basically an adequate diet is that you're getting food from all the normal food groups. There are about 4 different food groups, and along with your fats and oils. So you have your grains, you have your legumes, you have your vitamin A rich fruits and vegetables, you have your meats and dairies, and then you have your oils and fats. Have you ever been to a 5-star hotel?
Yes.
Okay. So what we like to talk about with adequate diet is that we want you to have either a 4-star diet or a 5-star diet. Kind of like being in a 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
So basically what that means is that you want to have at least one from each of those food groups in every meal, or as many meals as you can in a day, because then you're treating your body like a 5-star hotel.
Wow, interesting. Wow, treating your body like a 5-star hotel. You know what that sounds like? That's mind blowing. So you said there's nothing like balanced diet again.
No,
like it's
not
adequate
anymore.
Diet. It's not easy. All right, Ma, what's our fast foods?
Fast foods are those who are kind of that are kind of processed. Like you go to Chicken Republic, you go to KFC, you go to all these places whereby the food is processed in large quantities. Even if you don't go to those places, like you can buy a hot dog somewhere.
Okay.
Or they say, oh, you want to eat sausage. That's processed meat. And the way it goes is that those don't really have a high nutrition value. They have a high fat value. They have a high, they have a lot of things that are not good for the body necessarily. So it's good not to eat those kinds of things too much.
Too much. I was just going to ask that, is it good for teenagers and young adults to take fast foods?
Well, teenagers and adults will eat fast food. That's just a fact of life. And some of those things actually taste really well. They taste really good. So of course, people want to eat it. But the general rule of thumb is that if you're eating clean 70 to 80% of the time, then if you're eating fast food, another 20 or 30% of the time, then it won't be as harmful, right? So it's kind of getting that balance whereby you can have some of the foods that you enjoy that are not necessarily the best, but without feeling deprived. But you're still maintaining a clean diet the majority of the time.
Yes. So we can take fast foods, but not so much.
Well, at the end, think about it this way.
Okay.
Right? I know a lot of teenagers obviously don't have cars, but if you have a car, you want to feed it, you want to put in good petrol all the time. But sometimes you go to a petrol station and maybe the petrol is not 100%, but the car will still run, right?
Wow.
But if you put in bad petrol all the time, the car will eventually end up having problems. So it's really about making choices, right? The best thing is just to eat good food 100% of the time. But to be honest, that's not realistic for most people and definitely not for most teenagers.
Yes.
So it's just finding out, making sure that you're putting in good petrol majority of the time. And then if you end up putting some not so good petrol, then it's still okay.
Okay. So if you want to take fast foods, that means you have to take a lot of good foods for you to balance with the fast food. Not so much of fast food, but a lot of good foods. Ma, can foods be abused?
Yes, actually. One of the challenges with teenagers is that some people overeat, right? So that causes obesity at the end of the day. That's, abuse. And some people actually abuse food in the sense that they want the taste of food, but then they also have this whole body image thing. So they don't want to gain weight and all of that. So then you get into eating disorders like bulimia or, typically bulimia, because then you eat it and then you just get it all out because you've tasted the food and all that. So it can be abused in that way. It can also be abused basically in the overeating.
Okay, so when you overeat food, you're abusing food.
Because your body runs just like any other living organism, needs a certain amount of energy, and once it's attained that, anything over that is abusing because you're giving it more than it needs, and so the body has no way to use it, and then you're not able to actually get the optimal benefits from it.
Oh, nice. As students, we don't have so much money. And when we go to school, we're just managing from the pocket money that we give our parents. Some people are from like very wealthy families, but people that don't have so much,
Right.
they cannot get adequate diets. Now, what are your recipes for students that are in school that do not have so much money to get all of these things to make an adequate diet?
So actually, it's a good opportunity for students to learn to be creative, because a lot of the nutrients that we need, or a lot of nutrients that students need, actually come from nature. Things like focusing on fruits and vegetables and adding it to anything that you're eating. So if you can think about it and be like, okay, anything I'm going to eat, let me find which kind of fruit or which kind of vegetable I can add to it. For instance, students eat noodles, right? That's like a staple food, right? Aha, see, you eat noodles, you eat eggs, right? But you can put onions, you can put tomatoes, you can put carrots, you can put all sorts of vegetables in the noodles to make it richer, and then you have some of those nutrients coming in. So instead of just putting the noodles in the pot, boiling it, adding the sauce, the seasoning, and then boiling the egg and all that. That's basic, right? But you can add a little bit of the seasoning, not the whole seasoning. You can add a little bit of black pepper. You can add turmeric. You can add onions. You can cut in green peppers. You can cut in carrots. You can even put vegetables in it, and then you can garnish it with cucumber. So it's not, if you think about all of that, by the time you spend 3, 4, 500 naira, you get those things and add it to the food. So it's not really, you can even add garden egg. So it's just figuring out a way to add all sorts of fruits and vegetables to whatever you're eating. If it's rice, if it's beans. I hear students don't like to eat beans, but if it's rice, if it's noodles, if it's whatever you're eating, just find a way to add fruits and vegetables that are in season. Or just, even if you can't add it to the food, have it with the food. The oranges all the time. Groundnut has its own nutrients as well. Groundnuts is with 50 naira, 100 naira, you buy groundnuts, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to snack, instead of snacking on something like sausage roll that is more expensive than groundnuts, buy some groundnuts and eat that, and you're good. Students eat gari, I know, all the time, of course, or drink gari steady. So add groundnuts to your gari. right? Do you
Yeah.
add groundnut to your
Yes,
garri?
I do.
Aha. So that's a very easy thing. You're getting, the nutrients that are so fruits, vegetables, and nuts are really good to get nutrients for students. You may not be able to get almonds, but you can get groundnuts,
Oh.
right? You can get garden egg. Avocados, when they're seasoned, I know they call them avocado pear.
Yeah.
They're really, really good in omega-3 fatty acids that are good for the brain. Students can get that. Eat it with rice.
Hmm.
If you're eating rice, just add avocado, get the avocado pear and cut it inside, and
Eat it.
eat it with your rice. Stuff like that. So it's just finding ways of adding all these nutritious fruits, vegetables to your food in a way that doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
Hmm. This is about being creative.
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to have so much money, but be creative with your surroundings. She said nature is the most important thing now. The fruits and all of that. When you said something about granules, most times we teenagers and young adults, we feel like granule gives us pimples.
Well, it does with some people. That's the fact. But then you just have to eat. So that's the thing. You don't have to eat a lot. Just a little handful. But granule tastes nice, so we want to eat and eat and
That
eat.
is keep eating the granule.
Because of hormonal changes and all of that. Yeah, that will happen with some people. But yeah, don't let it stop you. Don't let it stop you. Just eat. Don't eat a lot. Just eat some.
Little.
So you can still get the benefits without getting the pimples.
Yeah.
And then one thing that is also crucial and critical is drinking water. Staying extremely hydrated is extremely, extremely important, both for your body and for your brain. The body is made up of about 70% water. And the brain is also, mostly made up of water. The brain is only 2%, but takes up about 20% of the nutrients from food. But the brain also needs specific nutrients. So but one of the major things that the brain and body needs is water. Water, and it doesn't cost a lot.
At all.
It doesn't cost a lot. So instead of drinking Coke or Fanta or Sprite or any of those other things, it's good to drink water.
Just drink water. Like I always say, water is very important. And now doctor is telling us that we need water. We should take a lot of water. During exams period, it's always very tight. Like when we have exams, we can have exams by 8 a.m. Everybody's out running, come back very late, no time to eat. What's your advice on that? What do you think about that?
Well, just like I hope students are preparing for exams, you prepare for that scenario. You know that it's going to be very busy. So if you have a fridge, then maybe the night before, just before you go to sleep, blend some fruits and vegetables together. Efo, cucumber, carrots, orange, agbalumo. If you can find pineapple or watermelon, blend them together, and then just take them with you. Then take it, take that smoothie with you the next day. You have nutrients inside that you can drink throughout the day, right? And then you come back, but then you also plan to have at least a meal because your brain needs energy, which can only come from food, right? So you need to make sure that you're eating at least one good meal a day during exams, and of course, hydration. You have to drink water. And one of the other important things for your brain is that you're sleeping well. I know it's difficult during exams, but it's very important. And then you're breathing because your brain needs oxygen, which students actually get because you're walking everywhere. So at least you get that exercise. But also sometimes it's just like even just take some time and just take a deep breath, right? Especially when you're stressed, you're like, oh, I forgot to read that chapter. Take a breath because it also helps your brain. Oxygenation helps your brain. So it's being intentional. It's taking, and it doesn't have to take a long time, right? You can take 5 minutes in the morning and take a breath. Put some fruits together. Even if you don't want to blend it, just make a fruit salad that you can take with you when you're going to the exams or when you're going to study and all of that. So it's just being mindful and being intentional about it.
Okay. Hydration. Take a breath. Don't be stressed. Take a lot of water. And then you can prepare some smoothies, mix some fruits together. Even if you don't have fruit, you can do it in the morning.
Exactly.
And all that. Some people like to do TDB, till daybreak, to read overnight. Is it advisable?
It's actually not. It's actually not. Because at the end of the day, one of the best things for your brain is sleep. It helps you retain your short-term memory, and it helps to convert it into long-term memory. So you're actually doing yourself a disservice. You're actually not helping yourself if you do TDB, because you will actually tend to forget what you read, versus reading, maybe going to sleep at midnight, then waking up at like 5 or 6, and then continuing it for 1 or 2 hours before you have to go out. It's always better to get. They recommend 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but I'm not sure. I personally know anyone who gets that amount of sleep, and I know students don't get that during exams. But at least if you can do 5 or 6, it's still okay. But the TDB doesn't actually help.
Do not do so much of TD. Some people like doing TD. I don't understand. Like it's fine, but then you should learn to manage everything together.
Yeah.
Get enough sleep.
Yeah.
You should not sleep for so long. You should
Right.
not do 8 hours long sleep when you have exam. You can just do 4 hours, 5 hours, but then read. We're not saying you should not read.
Exactly.
Mara, are supplements good? What kinds are advisable for teenagers?
Okay, so you're primarily supposed to get your nutrients from food. That's the way God created it. There's a saying, I think it was Socrates that said, "Let your food be your medicine, and let your medicine be your food." God created all the food in the world so that the body can get adequate nutrition. Supplementation comes in when you are lacking something, right? And that happens because people are not getting enough nutrition from food. Teenagers, for instance, particularly women, need things like folate, iron, because when you're on your period, you lose iron. And so you need to make sure that you're getting some of that back. So it's advisable that, young ladies take like a folic acid. I mean, not just young ladies, actually women of reproductive age, they call them, between 15 and 49, are supposed to take like a folic acid supplement regularly. But people should not depend on supplements. The majority should come from food. And then, if there's a micronutrient lacking, you can get it. For instance, a lot of people don't get a lot of calcium. And one of the ways you can get that, if you don't drink a lot of milk, because milk can be expensive, all of that, is, there are vegetables that have that. There's stuff like sardines that has calcium in it. There's tofu. I mean, you probably can't get tofu here.
No.
Students probably won't do tofu, but so there are other sources of calcium. So it's always better to get the nutrients the nutrients from food. But sometimes supplementation is required, particularly with the folic acid, with calcium. Vitamin D, students are out in the sun, so no problem with that. Yeah.
But we call that shaggy.
Yeah, but it's actually good, because in some countries, people have to take vitamin D supplements because of a vitamin D deficiency, which is actually detrimental, right? And calcium is really useful for building healthy bones. And your B vitamins are important, which you can get from your fruits and vegetables and from eggs, are really, really useful and necessary for your brain. Supplementation, but with moderation.
Supplementation, but with moderation. Little, not so much. Folic acid for women because of the menstrual period and all of that. Not so much, with moderation. Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much, guys, for staying with us today. And I'm sure that you learned a lot from today's episode. And I'm sure your eating habits will also change. And I'm sure that you are super excited that you stayed today. And guys, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and also hit the notification button below so you will never miss any video again. And the anonymous page will also be dropped in the description below so that you can drop your questions. Feel free to drop any questions, and also the comment section, drop out your comments and anything that you like to talk about, the things that you're taking as students, the things that you feel like we've not said that you think, you can also drop on the comment section. Thank you very much, guys. Bye. I love you. I'll tell my friends you love them.
All right. Bye. Thank you. Bye.